maybe this isn't okay because I haven't felt like this in a long time. I'm feeling so uncomfortable, so like, I've got to be perfect. I got to fix myself. I got to do this. I got to do that. And I know what that feels like, and I remember what that feels like. It's like, even I was sitting here, I was like, God, I really haven't felt this in a long time, and I'm realizing like I've opened up my channel to a lot of, I genuinely believe, women who felt like I did, and I want to help you. I want to help you. I want to help you. I hated how that felt. It was like I had to be perfect before I could be seen. I had to be perfect before I could be seen, because if they saw me and I wasn't perfect and I didn't perform correctly, they may not choose me, which validated the feeling of I'm unlovable. It's easy to leave me. People don't want to stick around. This is a long time ago wound. This is a little girl wound. This is not you anymore, okay? There are so many things that can trigger this abandonment wound. But for me, I know that it started in the divorce. I know that it did, and not being able to see my dad, and children listen, and I remember hearing like he wanted someone else. He wanted someone else. He wanted someone else. He was cheating. He was this. He was that. He was that. I remember hearing it, and it planted this seed in the back of my head of like, oh, people, men especially, can leave and will leave if another woman who is of more desire is around. And because this seed was planted in me so young, I started to see women as competition. I was uncomfortable. I didn't have a voice. I felt like I had to be perfect. I felt like I had to be posh. I felt like if my body wasn't, a 10 out of 10, I wasn't going to be the chosen one. I wasn't going to be the chosen one. You're not going to pick me. You're not going to pick me. It was very much a pick me attitude. And I'm not saying that to shame me. I'm saying that because, yeah, I wish I would have been picked as a little girl. Little me was there too, and it hurt. And I had an abandonment wound that come up because of it. And I took that wound into every relationship after the relationship that I had with my father. And a lot of women who don't have good relationship dynamics with their father will unintentionally look for their dad in every single relationship they enter after. I wanted a dad. I wanted a man to love me so bad. And I had to prove to myself for so long that he didn't leave because of me, and I can keep somebody, and I'm valuable. I'm valuable. I'm valuable. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Validate me. I'm valuable. I'm valuable. Trying to get all of this validation, all of this love, all of this stuff from outside of myself, because it was never mirrored to me how to give that to myself, how to fill my own cup up, how to love myself, because it wasn't given to my mama, and it sure as hell wasn't given to her mama. But we can stop that wheel. We don't got to keep running on that anymore. We don't got to keep running on that paradigm. I don't have to look outside of myself to find validation. I don't have to find my worth through the eyes of a man or anyone else for that sake. I get to validate me. I get to be there for me. I get to love me. I get to show up for me. I don't have to look outside of myself anymore. I know that I look good. It's so terrifying to enter relationship dynamics where you're already from the jump scared of losing them. I used to be like that. I used to look for any and every sign that the person that I was with was about to leave me, so that my body could prep for it. It was my mind's way of protecting me. But all it was doing over and over again was unintentionally telling little me, you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you got to do better, you got to be better, to keep people around me. And that was so unfair to little me to hear and to feel over and over and over again. And it's so unfair to little you. But you can stop the wheel, and you can give back to her. You can give back to little you. You can show up for the version of yourself that didn't have anybody to show up for them. If you were in spaces, areas, dynamics where men bullied you and your mother or the women around you didn't feel safe enough to speak up, and you didn't have a voice, and the women around you didn't have a voice, it is up to you now to say no. It is up to you now to have a voice. It is up to you now to build that muscle that was not taught to you. You've got to learn to say no, or people will continuously take advantage of you. For you, baby, learn to say no, because people will continuously take advantage of you. I was talking to somebody, and she said, girl, they got me watching their kids, and they know I work in the morning. And I thought to myself, hey, that's usually when I go to bed. I got to go to work tomorrow. I got to get up at 4. And I said, okay, well, you told them no, right? You told them no, right? well, I didn't want them to be mad at me, and blah, blah, blah. Get away from that environment until you can learn to say no, so that you can step back and like, hey, maybe I don't have the capacity to deal with this right now, and I can't say no yet, and I've got to build that. I've got to build that muscle. I've got to build that muscle. I've got to build that muscle, and it starts with me. It starts with telling me no. It starts with looking at everything that I can control in my reality and start controlling it. I can, and it may not. I can't say no right at first. And I've got to sit with myself, and I've got to learn myself, and I've got to have grace and patience for myself first. But eventually I can learn to say no. And when I can learn to say no to me, okay, now I got boundaries with myself. I can have boundaries with you. I know my boundaries. Your own relationship to yourself is built on a trauma bond, and you've got to break that and build a healthy dynamic. Step in and say, I've got to remove her. Maybe nobody removed me from these unhealthy situations growing up. Maybe nobody took me out of it. Maybe nobody could see, but I can see this. I can see that this is unhealthy, and I'm going to remove myself, and I'm going to pour back into myself so that I can show up a better, healthier, more aligned, more grounded version of me. Stop and say no, stop and say no, stop and say no. I had very low self-confidence. I was looking for any way to get validation, any way to get love, any way to get attention. I didn't have a lot of attention growing up. A lot of us didn't. Our parents worked all the time. 9 to 5s and 5 to 9s. My mama worked all the time. I didn't get a whole lot of attention. And I needed that. And I didn't get any attention from my dad. And I needed that. So the only attention that was ever shown to me was male attention that was not good. That I learned very quickly I've got to perform for. I've got to show up a certain way for. I've got to fix myself a certain way so that I'll be the chosen one finally. Because any attention to me was good attention. And that is not true. I started to dilute myself. I started to change. I started to shift so that people would like me and choose me. And I don't even just mean only romantically, platonically, in any relationship, in any human to human interaction. I started masking. I started changing, even in just the smallest of ways, because I wanted to be accepted and because I didn't know who I truly was. I had been chasing this for so long, from the time that I was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, trying to figure out who I am, how to get people to love me, how to get people to give me attention, that I unintentionally took that into adulthood. On top of sexual assault, on top of losing a friend at a young age, on top of uh, bouncing around all the time, on top of just inconsistencies, on top of life in general. Everybody goes through something. Everybody goes through something. Everybody goes through something. Life was hard. Life was hard. I understand. Life was hard. But you can take your power back, and you don't have to continuously run and live in that paradigm anymore. You don't have to. You don't have to feel uncomfortable when beautiful women walk past you. You don't have to feel uncomfortable when you walk past the mirror and start pinching yourself and picking yourself apart. You don't have to worry if your partner is going to leave you 24/7. You don't have to mask or pretend. And my collective, I tend to magnetize a lot of women that are assault victims. And if I say it a lot, if you were not able to express your sacred yeses and your sacred nos at a young age, we can unintentionally lose our voice. And you could help a lot of people. You could help a lot of people. And I know you want to. I know you want to. If you're anything like me, you want to help. You want to transmute it. You know you have these gifts. You know you have these abilities. You know it's something's calling you. You know you got a destiny. You know you got a path. You know you got a journey. You cannot fulfill your life's purpose on an empty tank. You have to pour into you first. You have to get to know you first. You have to know at the end of the day, I've got me. I've got me. I'm an adult now. I don't need my dad. I don't need my mom. I've got to focus on me. I've got to pour into me. I've got to figure me out. I've got to figure out the things that I like. I got to figure out the things that I don't like. I got to date myself. I got to date myself. I got to date myself. And if you have the same father wound that I had, how long you had a boyfriend? And if you're in a relationship, don't get scared. I'm not saying leave. Make space for yourself, though. Make a large, uncomfortably large amount of space for yourself. You've got to take that back and say, me first. And then I'll pour into you. And then I'll pour into this. And then I'll pour into that. But in the, sorry, it was a little overstimulating. You've got to learn to say me first. It's just really, really highlighting a huge, huge, huge self-worth wound. How long have you unintentionally equated your value to your body or to what you could offer somebody else? And I say that as a woman. I don't say that as somebody shaming you. How long have you been in a relationship? How long have you been pouring into somebody else? How long have you give and 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 give? And I want you to look at where you're saying no in life and where you're saying no to yourself. because that is the number one place you got to start. You got to start with you. If you can't say no to other people, if you're a people pleaser, if that word makes you uncomfortable, I also want you to look at yourself in the mirror and say, where have I not told myself no either? Whether it's with the alcohol, whether it's with the food, whether it's with the friend groups, whether it's with the whatever it is that you don't listen to your inner self that's saying, no, 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 I really don't want to do that. I really don't want to do that. You're not going to be able to say no to other people. It starts with you. And it don't got to be perfect. Have patience with yourself. Have grace with yourself like you have with everybody else over and over and over and over. I could just keep going on and on and on and on and on about that. The grace you have given, baby. And you feel like you have to get love. You feel like you have to earn love. You feel like you got to be good to get loved. I talk to a lot of people who have a lot of wounds from being whooped as a child. And it's highlighting that. If your father figure was the authoritarian one and he was the one that did, the whooping, look at how big that man is compared to a little girl. It was probably scary, or a little boy. It was scary. It scared your nervous system. Your nervous system went into shock, into fight or flight. And then if you were told it's showing like, go to your room till you calm down. Do you know children don't know how to calm themselves down? They don't know how to regulate their own nervous system. We need help doing it. I know you remember, you'd go in the room and you'd rage out and you'd rip stuff, or maybe bite yourself, or maybe pull your hair. You had so much in you, you didn't really know what to do with it. None of us did. But we would go in there and we would hit this emotional high until we crashed on the bed crying. We never sat in front of a mirror and said, why are you crying? Well, let's figure this out together. Let's calm down. Let's take breaths. No, we just pent it up until we were quiet enough to go get mom or go get dad and I remember coming out and, are you done? Are you finished? Maybe it would trigger something and I get a little well in my eye and it's like, oh no, you're still crying, go back to your room. And this is just what we're taught, what they were taught. They weren't taught emotional regulation either, but it is up to you to step in and say, hey, we've got to learn to regulate ourselves now. I've been running on that for a long time. I've been running on that wheel for a long time. I got to regulate myself. Are you still unintentionally living in the body and in the existence of a little girl? And you're a grown woman now. We have to learn to regulate ourselves for ourselves. It feels so good to not need somebody to make me feel better anymore. I used to need my partner to fix me in moments like that. I used to need my friend to be there for me. I used to need somebody during a panic attack. And there's nothing wrong with having support, but I am telling you from experience, I promise you can get there with yourself, and it feels so free. Maybe everywhere you went, you felt like people were staring at you. It's showing like the hoodies and the hiding yourself and just not feeling safe, not feeling like you want to come out, not feeling it's just like, oh God, it's just so, it's deep in there. This just self-worth wound for a really, really, really long time. Not being able to say no, being stepped all over. There's a huge, huge, huge plethora of people out there, and sometimes I think we forget that not everybody goes home to the same things, and not everyone's 24 hours look the same. And there are people who are trying to heal from really dark and deep shit. And they deserve a seat too. I deserve a seat too. Say, I deserve a seat too. I want to heal. I want to do better. I want to come back home to myself. I don't want to live like this anymore. I want to take accountability. I want to be there for me. Nobody else was there for me. I want to be there for me. I was doing a group reading not too long ago, and the youngest person in the group, she was 12 years old. And I remember when I got there, they said, I don't know if I want her to see this. And I said, why? She going through the same thing y'all are. Just because someone is younger doesn't mean they're oblivious to their existence. She was a victim of assault too, by the same person the other two girls were that they didn't want to talk about it in. They didn't want to talk about it. They didn't want to say his name. They didn't want to bring it up. They didn't want to expose the wound too deeply because they felt shame themselves. And I will also say this, and I say it with pure conviction. You do not have to be a victim to that anymore. You don't have to hold victim to that. You can call your power back. You can regain your voice. You can regain your sacred yeses and your sacred nos. You can take up space. You can say, not in here. That made me uncomfortable. You can do that. And she deserves that. Little you deserves that. For the version of you that didn't have anybody to say, for the version of you that didn't have an eye out, for the version of you that didn't have somebody to say, I don't like how he did that. I don't like, hey, don't talk to her like that. Don't put your hands on her like that. Hey, don't get off of her. For her, you've got to learn to bring this back online. You've got to learn to say no. You got to learn to say no to you. You got to learn to say no to things that make you uncomfortable. You got to learn to say no to it's it's a powerful, beautiful, wonderful word.